Radio to 83393.
Is this the tiger?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Rough night for the Dodgers in San Diego. They got pounded 11-1. The Padres had 16 hits off 3 Dodgers pitchers. The Dodgers and Padres wrap up their 3-game series today with a day game. First pitch at 1:10. The Angels beat Oakland 2-1 in 10 innings. First baseman Nolan Shanaway delivered the game-winning hit in the 10th. The Angels and Oakland also have a day game today. First pitch at 1:07 in Anaheim. Chargers head coach Jim Harbaugh confirmed Tuesday that he had 2 surgeries in the offseason, a hip replacement and a cardiac ablation to help his heart maintain a normal heartbeat. The 61-year-old Harbaugh has had episodes of an irregular heartbeat. The NBA Finals resume tonight in Indianapolis. It's Game 3 between the Oklahoma City Thunder and Indiana Pacers. The series is tied at 1-1. Tip-off tonight at 5:30 LA time on ABC. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
LA's newest soul food restaurant is getting spectacular reviews.
Great place with amazing food. The Sunday champagne brunch is fabulous. I saw the place on IG. We tried it for lunch. We were blown away by the food and the service. The restaurant has an inviting atmosphere and a dynamic vibe.
Over the years, Lionel has catered most major black events in Los Angeles, including all of our KBLA Talk 1580 gatherings. But now he has his own spot, Lionel's Soul Food Cuisine, and you need to check it out at 8501 South Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles. Oxtails, baked or fried chicken, meatloaf, turkey chops, pork chops, catfish, short ribs, and all the fixins. Collard greens, mac and cheese, yams, red beans, black-eyed peas, and more. And of course, hot water cornbread, satisfying drinks, and delicious desserts. Lionel's is a great place for brunch, lunch, or dinner. If it's good enough for us, it's good enough for you, because we've got your black. So, head on over to Lionel's Soul Food Cuisine at 8501 South Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles and tell Lionel you heard about it on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's the King of the Blues, B.B. King, all 3 hours today of Tavis, Smiley. June is Black Music Month, and this is how we do it around here every June. All 3 hours of my show, we weave in and out of these conversations with the best of a particular artistic genius, and that genius today is Blues Boy, B.B. King, all 3 hours of our program. In this hour, 2 conversations as promised on the backside of this hour. Author Jonathan D. Cohen on his new book, Losing Big, America's Reckless Bet on Sports Gambling. We'll go inside the high-stakes, high-risk world of sports betting and talk about how it is gripping young men in particular in this country right now. But we commenced this hour with Colorado Springs Democratic Senator Tony Exum talking about how he was able to pass a new requirement to teach black history in Colorado schools in the midst of all this pushback on DE&I and teaching the truth. B.B. King is right. The thrill is gone in America right now. If it ever existed, the thrill is gone. But somehow, in the midst of all of this, Tony Exum was able to get legislation passed to teach black history in Colorado schools. Now, before I get to that, if you didn't hear this clip, I want to make sure you do, because I was blown away by it. And I think you might be too, again, if you didn't hear it already. But some days ago, there was a recent hearing on Capitol Hill. Listen now, I ain't even got to explain this. Just listen, you're going to get it. This is Representative Summer Lee, sister out of Philadelphia, questioning the Education Secretary, Linda McMahon. Let me repeat that so you know who the participants are in this audio I'm about to give you. This is the Secretary of Education. We're talking about teaching black history in schools and why it matters. This is the Secretary of Education in a conversation with Representative Summer Lee of Philadelphia. Give it to me, Miles.
Would you say that it would be an illegal DEI for a lesson plan on the Tulsa Race Massacre?
I'd have to get back to you on that.
Do you know what the Tulsa Race Massacre is?
I'd like to look into it more and get back to you on it.
Okay, so I look forward to that. How about the book Through My Eyes by Ruby Bridges, for instance?
I haven't read that.
Have you learned about Ruby Bridges?
If you have specific examples you'd like
That
to
was a
cite,
specific example.
I'll be very happy.
It was an
for you-
incredibly
for
specific
you
example.
to submit
I named
those
a
in your
specific book.
questions, and I will look into it and get back to you on
Thank
them. I
you.
look
How
forward
about
to
a
answering them
school
directly.
having a voluntary celebration for Pride Month?
Well, I think that,
Voluntary.
well, let's make sure that in our schools.
This is yes or no?
that we're looking, no, it's not.
Okay. How about social studies standards that teach that President Biden won the 2020 election?
I think our studies should all be taught accurately.
Yes or no?
I think our studies should
No,
be
no, no.
taught
The
accurately.
question was, do you believe that social studies standards that teach that President Biden won the 2020 election is an illegal DEI? Yes or no?
I think I have said we should teach accurately. We should.
No,
be
you have
on all
not answered
sides.
the question.
Well, I'm
I
answering
don't
the
understand
question.
why you're incapable
I'm
of
just
answering.
not giving you the answer you want.
No,
but
I
I'm
want
answering
the answer,
question.
whatever your answer is.
I just gave you the answer.
No, the answer is yes or no.
No, the answer is I
The
think
answer
our
is
courses
yes or
should be
no.
taught
Gentle
accurately.
ladies.
Thank you.
That I hear Tony Exum laughing already. That does not even require me to opine on it in any way, on any level. You heard it for yourself. The education secretary got caught. She has no idea how did you get asked about the Tulsa Race Massacre and you say, I got to get back to you on that? Ruby Bridges, I got to get back to you on that. This is why Tony Exum introduced this bill and got it passed to teach black history in Colorado schools, and I couldn't be more grateful for his work and witness in that regard. Senator Exum, good to have you on the program. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing great, Tavis. Good to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
It's good to have you on. What did you hear when you heard that clip? What do you hear in that clip?
Well, I heard, and I'll read something here on one of the students that gave testimony to this bill in Colorado, and this is a young lady named Tatia, and she says, "I'm supporting this because accurate Black history, is something that should be taught, not only for the knowledge, but to know why we are treated the way we are being treated today in the 21st century." So that was just one of the many students that testified on the bill, and she hit it right. The reason that I sponsored this bill is to ensure, public education system includes comprehensive, accurate Black historical and cultural studies.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask. Let me just. I'm watching my clock. Let me just tell you where I want to go when we come forward, so you don't have more than 20 seconds to respond. You can stretch out a little bit when we come forward here. But I'm curious, as the audience is, as to what this bill exactly does. When we say, as I did a moment ago, that it requires Black history to be taught in Colorado schools, what does that mean? I'm going to let you unpack what the bill actually calls for and a great deal more when we come forward in this conversation with Colorado State Senator Tony Exum on Tavis Smiley.
Your spell. Oh, I'm free now. I'm free from your spell.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Hi, I'm LA City Councilman Curran Price, inviting you to join us on Saturday, June the 14th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. as we cut the ribbon on the brand new Enel Woods Park at 8703 South McKinley Avenue. Thanks to a generous donation from Heal the Bay, the park features smart irrigation, stormwater capture systems, and space for local wildlife to thrive. And we've built a walking trail, picnic areas, native landscaping, and quiet spaces for families to gather, relax, and connect. This is part of a much larger effort to expand green spaces across South LA with 3 new parks in the works, a first-of-its-kind community center coming soon, and plans to connect it all through the South LA Greenway. So mark your calendar for Saturday, June 14th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., and come celebrate a greener, stronger South LA at Enel Woods Park. I'm also pleased to sponsor the Climate Justice plus Black Health Symposium, moderated by Tavis Smiley, live on C-SPAN, Wednesday, June the 18th, from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Just a reminder to sign up right away at the KBLA1580.com website to join me, Mayor Karen Bass, Congresswoman Sidney Kamlager Dove, Tennessee State Representative Justin Pearson, Dr. Cornel West, former Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr., the Sierra Club's Ben Jealous, and other black influencers in the climate and health fields as we continue to amplify the connection between climate and poor health outcomes for our people. Thank you for listening. I'm Councilman Curran Price.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates Pastor and Mrs. William Sachs Epps on their retirement from stewardship at the historic Second Baptist Church. Dr. Epps has faithfully served Second Baptist as its senior pastor for 37 years. What a legacy of love and leadership. Pastor and Mrs. Epps will be honored at a luncheon on Saturday, July 26, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Sheraton Universal Hotel in Universal City, and you're invited to attend. Noted scholar Dr. Michael Eric Dyson is the keynote speaker. For ticket information, please contact epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. That's epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. To Pastor Epps and First Lady Epps, congratulations from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
I thought I'd let that ride a little bit longer than usual because you're hearing me on the radio, you're hearing me in conversation with Colorado State Senator Tony Exum. What you cannot see is that he's on Zoom right now and he's getting it in. He's bobbing and weaving, bouncing. I see you, Senator, listening to this B.B. King. It sounds good, don't it?
Absolutely.
We're celebrating B.B. King all 3 hours of today's program. June is Black Music Month, and so we take the opportunity to celebrate some of the best of black music all month long in all the genres: gospel, hip hop, R&B, jazz, folk, you name it, reggae. We're doing it every single day of this month in June as we celebrate the artistic genius of so many great black artist all month long in the month of June. We continue now our conversation with Colorado State Senator Tony Exum, who was able to pass a new requirement in Colorado to teach black history in Colorado schools in the midst of all this pushback against teaching the truth in our classrooms. So I want to make the most of the time we have here, about 15 minutes left. Let me start with asking you what the bill does exactly, Tony Exum.
Thank you, Tavis. The bill affirms the value of inclusive education by requiring the adoption and integration of standards that reflect the full scope of American history, including the experiences, contributions, and struggles of Black Americans. It also does in the bill, it requires to establish a advisory committee of educators, historians, community leaders to guide and develop the standards and provide technical assistance to local school districts. It also creates a resource bank of research-based scholarly articles and promising program materials and curricula pertaining to Black historical cultural studies. And they have to adopt the State Board of Education has to adopt the Black historical and cultural studies no later than July 1st of next year, June 2026. It will be, however, it will be implemented in 2028, so it stays in line with the current 6-year revision cycle for academic studies.
So it comes online in 2028.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I want to ask in a moment how this got passed by the legislature in Colorado, aside from your brilliant leadership, of course, how it got passed. Put another way, the governor signed this, of course, into law, and we're seeing, again, all across the country, this kind of pushback against teaching the truth, a pushback against DE&I. And I'm curious as to why something like this, at a moment like this, got passed in the state of Colorado. Put a pin in that for the second. I'll come back to that. Before I do that, let me ask you why you felt the need, first of all, to sponsor this legislation. What were you sensing? What were you feeling? What happened that suggested to you that this bill needed to be sponsored by Tony Exum in Colorado?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Tavis. I think it's very, very important to me because a lot of times we are not seen, we're not acknowledged. And I remember when I was growing up, going through school, through high school, nothing was ever taught about Black history. I took my first Black history class in my second year in college. And I imagine myself, I put myself in students' shoes today, and all the things that are coming back, all the racism, all the non-acknowledgement of Black Americans, Black students. And I wanted to do something to make sure that that they're acknowledged, that they appreciate others learning about the Black experience that maybe they experience at home, they hear about in the community, but it's not taught in the classroom.
In Colorado, give me a sense of why or how, is probably a better way to phrase it, how a bill like this could pass, particularly in a dark moment like this in this country. How did you get this thing passed in Colorado and get the governor to sign it?
Yeah, we worked real hard and working with the school district, working with the governor's office on about the importance, because the state of the country, affirmative action being attacked, critical race theory being confused, and as you mentioned earlier, DEI. These are all, attempts to rewrite history. And so we put together a group, and it helped that we have a young black man, our state president, our Senate president, James Cohen, helped pushing the bill, and just having a good relationship with the governor's office, and talk to him about, the importance of it and the impact that it would have not only in the educational system, but what impact that would say to a governor saying Black history is important in the state of Colorado. And it's so important to me that I'm going to put my name on this and turn this bill into a law for the state of Colorado.
Did I hear you say that the president of the Senate in Colorado is a black man right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
The second one in the history
Yeah.
of the legislature.
Yeah, I asked that question.
James Cohen.
James Cohen. All right, Brother Coleman, I am mad at you. I asked that question in part because I was just about to ask you, and I'll put you on the spot here. I hope you have some sense of this answer, and if not, we'll find out, but I think you probably do. Give me some sense of what is the black population in terms of percentage? What's the black population in the state of Colorado?
It's about 6%.
Okay, about 6%. And 6% black population in the state, and you got a black man who's president of the Senate. That's fascinating. Of course, I celebrate that.
And we have 9 black legislators, six women and 3 men.
Yeah. I asked that because I'm curious as to what kind of opposition you got. It's not like black people represent anything near a majority in the state of Colorado. There are states where there are a whole lot more black people. And in those states where there are a whole lot more black people, they can't get legislation like this passed to teach black history in those schools. They can't get it passed in states where there are a lot more black people. And yet, in Colorado, y'all got this thing through. So tell me what kind of opposition you encountered along the way. Any conservative opposition?
Yeah, there was some pushback, and the education system, they tried to frame it, as you probably have seen in your travels, tried to frame it as we're adding to or we're taking away from curriculum time in the classroom. And what we came back and said that we don't want to take away from that. You're teaching history. We want to give you some tools to add some things to the history that you're already teaching to be inclusive.
Yeah. I'm curious now as to how the teachers' unions responded. We are seeing unions, period, in the Trump era take it on the chin. But every major teachers' union in the country in this last election endorsed Kamala Harris, and before that, Joe Biden. Nobody in the teachers union realm endorsed Donald Trump. How did the teachers, the unions, and the profession respond to this bill as it advanced through the legislature?
They responded in a positive way. Like I said, they were concerned about the timing and the instructional time in class and what type of impact that would have. And we just had conversations about the importance of it and why it needs to be inclusive, because you're already teaching history.
Yeah.
Why not include the Black cultural experience so all the students can learn? Because most of the kids, they get it.
Yeah.
They have, the classroom and the playground is multifaceted. And for the most part, they get along fine.
Yeah.
It's just the adults.
No, I get it.
We don't know how to.
Yeah, I get it. Speaking of adults, I asked you about the legislature and those persons who supported this bill. I asked you about the governor. I asked you about the teachers. I asked you about opposition. You just said the kids get it. Let me ask you about that last group, that really important group, the parents. How did parents in Colorado respond to being told that their kids were going to be forced or have the opportunity, depending on how one looks at it, to learn about Black history. How did the good white parents in Colorado respond to this?
Yeah, some of them were. We got quite a bit of pushback, especially during when the bills were presented in committee in the House side and on the Senate side, to the tune saying that it really wasn't needed, and they really didn't have any reason for it. They just had some talking points that they got from the Republicans about instructional time in the classroom. But I tell you, Tavis, the young kids that testified were multifaceted. They weren't all Black kids. These were Black kids. These were white kids, Hispanic kids, and they told the committee and parents why this was important to them. Yeah.
No, that must have been quite a scene. I can only imagine that your chest must have swelled with pride when you were in that committee room hearing students of color from around the state of Colorado testifying in support of your bill. That must have been a career moment for you, sir.
It was. I was beaming like a big, bright light.
I can only imagine.
Very, very, especially the young African-American kids. I mean, these little tiny young girls dressed to the T with the big afros, and they spoke very, very intelligently, very fluently. Even the white legislators on the committee were very, very impressed with their testimony, with their poise. Yeah. So yeah, it was a very, very proud moment for me, and I was really appreciative of the opportunity.
Yeah, somewhere I read, a child shall lead them. I read that somewhere. A child shall lead them. Let me offer this as the exit question. I have had the opportunity over the course of my career, as you can imagine, to talk to any number of state legislators who have passed historic and seminal legislation in their states. And oftentimes when they do that, they will hear from legislators in other states about how they did it. There's an interest there on the part of legislators in other states to see if they can introduce legislation and do the same thing, replicate what Tony Exum did in Colorado. Do you have any sense of what kind of outreach your office has received from other legislators in other states? Put another way, are you hopeful that what happened in Colorado can be scaled up across the country in other states?
Yes, I'm very, very hopeful. And we have received a lot of communication from especially our Colorado Democratic Black Caucus. We received a lot of questions and from Black legislators in other states, in Maryland, in Georgia, and in Alabama, and we just, and like we do when we're running legislation, a lot of times our research is that we research what's been done in other states. So there's a number of Black legislators around the country that have inquired about the bill and how we got it done, and we've been more than happy to share that information with them as they've shared with us on other bills.
Yeah, Tony Exum has lived a life of public service, and I celebrate that. Served more than 35 years as a firefighter with the Colorado Springs Fire Department, rising to the rank of battalion chief. He then went on to be elected to the House for four terms in the state of Colorado, and just in 2022 was elected to the Senate to continue serving Colorado Springs, and now he's passed some seminal legislation. So his name is in the history books in Colorado and will always be remembered for being the guy that sponsored the bill to make sure that Black history would be taught in schools in the state of Colorado. Congratulations, Senator Exum, on your work and witness in this regard. I've been honored to have had you on this program. Wish you nothing but the best, my friend.
I appreciate it, Tavis. Thanks for the opportunity.
It's great to have you on. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A black man from Michigan was arrested after allegedly calling in a fake bomb threat to Spirit Airlines for missing his flight.
We have a situation, so we unfortunately are going to have to deboard this aircraft, and everybody's going to have to be rescreened.
FBI agents say 23-year-old John Charles Robinson admitted to the hoax at Detroit Metropolitan Airport. He's due back in court later this month. Ron Bell, convicted of murdering Black Baton Rouge civil rights leader Sadie Roberts Joseph in 2019, will be sentenced August 7th. Bell was a former tenant of the deceased and faces a mandatory life sentence after a jury found him guilty of second-degree murder. And funk rock legend Sly Stone has died at 82. His family says he passed peacefully after a long battle with COPD. Stone, frontman of Sly and the Family Stone, leaves behind a legacy of hits that shaped generations of music. There is a Sly Stone playlist on the iHeartRadio app live right now. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Compassion sponsorship means food, healthcare, education, and more for a child in poverty. And there are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year and their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Text the word radio to 83393.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Rough night for the Dodgers in San Diego. They got pounded 11-1. The Padres had 16 hits off 3 Dodgers pitchers. The Dodgers and Padres wrap up their 3-game series today with a day game. First pitch at 1:10. The Angels beat Oakland 2-1 in 10 innings. First baseman Nolan Shanaway delivered the game-winning hit in the 10th. The Angels and Oakland also have a day game today. First pitch at 1:07 in Anaheim. Chargers head coach Jim Harbaugh confirmed Tuesday that he had 2 surgeries in the offseason, a hip replacement and a cardiac ablation to help his heart maintain a normal heartbeat. The 61-year-old Harbaugh has had episodes of an irregular heartbeat. The NBA Finals resume tonight in Indianapolis. It's Game 3 between the Oklahoma City Thunder and Indiana Pacers. The series is tied at 1-1. Tip-off tonight at 5:30 LA time on ABC. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Uh-oh. She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again. Holla.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God.
But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say. Let's do this.
Let's get it on.
On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the second consecutive year with our Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, call the bomb.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There'll be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
Flip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is Resilience in the Face of Chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DePrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA.
We love you. Love you.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Best of B.B. King, all 3 hours of Tavis Smiley today, as we continue our celebration of June as Black Music Month. June is just a great excuse, again, to play some of the best black music ever recorded. We choose a different artist every day, and today it is B.B. King, all 3 hours of this program as we weave in and out of these conversations with these intelligent, bright, spirited, inspiring guest. Jonathan D. Cohen was last on this program a few years ago, as I recall, talking about his previous book, For a Dollar and a Dream, State Lotteries in Modern America. I recall that conversation. I was fascinated to ask him a lot of questions about why these states are all embracing these lotteries and what that's doing to this gambling addiction that America seems to have. He's back on this program and back with a new book. It's called Losing Big, America's Reckless Bet on Sports Gambling. Losing Big, America's Reckless Bet on Sports Gambling. I welcome Jonathan D. Cohen back to the program. John, how are you, sir?
Good. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you back, man. Let me just start with this question. What is it about this gambling thing in America that so fascinates you that you spend years writing not one but 2 books about it?
Yeah, I'll confess I'm not all that much of a gambler. I am interested, and you already alluded to sort of our nation's gambling addiction.
Yeah.
I'm sort of always been interested in, let's call it gambling in the American dream, and the ways that people who have been shut out from the meritocracy or from being able to climb the economic ladder have basically tried to circumvent it and try to go around it and try to make their money through the roll of the dice or the draw of a lottery ticket. And that's what drew me to lotteries. And then all of a sudden, sports gambling exploded, as I'm sure we're going to talk about. And it just felt like it was such an emergency and such a big topic that I needed to sort of apply my lottery expertise to this issue as well.
Where did your research begin for this new book, Losing Big, America's Reckless Bet on Sports Gambling?
It started in 2022, 2023. I mean, I don't. I'm assuming you're watching sports like everybody else,
Oh
and you
yeah.
sort of seeing these ads, and it's kind of like, what is happening? Like, obviously there was a big Supreme Court decision in 2018 that made it legal, but it just felt like something weird was going on. And I sort of heard anecdotal reports about people, maybe young kids even betting more than they can afford. So my impetus, my desire to investigate was really just born of that. Was, hey, something weird is going on. Something fundamentally seems to be changing in American society and American sports. Let's figure out what exactly is happening.
Yeah. Before I get straight away into the text, give me a sense of why you think, and no naivete in asking this question, but to your point about all those commercials, I saw those commercials popping up as well, and I recall one day just saying to myself, man, the networks are embedded with these, with this sports gambling, sports betting. The networks are engaged with it. The leagues, the professional leagues are embedded with it. Everybody and everything seems to be embedded with these sports gambling sites. What say you about that?
Yeah, and so this is honestly part of the challenge, and part of what I guess was sort of disheartening to me was, it's one thing if we're going to have sports gambling legal. Right. It's one thing if we're going to have cigarettes or alcohol be legal. Or even drugs, marijuana in many states. But it's another thing if we're going to have in-game promotions in the middle of a baseball game telling you to bet. Exactly. Or you hit a ball to the left field wall, and all of a sudden there's a BetMGM logo on the left field wall waiting for you, so that your 7-year-old is watching the game and they see it. So what you're describing is, I think, basically the process by which sports gambling became normal. It went from being a sort of a weird thing that you do if you got a bookie, or you do offshore illegally, and sort of has this pinch of illegality, and all of a sudden it's expected of you as a sports fan, thanks to the sports leagues and thanks to their network sponsors.
So tell me more. I'm going to follow you. Tell me more, Jonathan, since you're on it, about how sports betting, sports gambling became so normalized in America.
Yeah, well, so it started with the Supreme Court decision in 2018, which overturned a law that was blocking states from legalizing sports betting. And in 2018, on the basis of states' rights, the court ruled that states were basically allowed to decide on sports gambling if they wanted to. Mm-hmm. And I'm no constitutional scholar. I think that case seems to be correctly decided. So fine, sports gambling is going to be legal. But I think the key word in the title of my book is reckless, because what happened next wasn't just sort of careful, methodical embrace of legalization. It was an all-out, all-in sort of bet, pun intended, on sports betting in a way that has so few guardrails and so few protections for players, and is leading a lot more people to run into trouble than needs to be the case.
What's going to be the end game, pardon the pun, the end game of this process unabated without the guardrails that it needs?
So the fear is that the end game looks a lot like what's happening in the United Kingdom right now, and over there they're actually in the process of basically rolling back and adding protections to sports betting. They're basically undoing exactly what we were in the process of building, specifically because of many instances documented over there of young men taking their own lives or committing harm to themselves after developing gambling addiction. So my fear, and one of the reasons I wanted to write the book, is, let's fix this. Let's add these guardrails before young men, and young men of color in particular, start developing gambling addictions, losing money they don't have, losing money they can't afford to lose. But we don't have to get that far. We can stop it now if government were to sort of take a few more steps to regulate it a little bit better.
I mean, you're a bright guy, Jonathan. I've known you always to be a really smart person, but you ain't, the only smart guy in the country. So if you're watching what's happening in London and how they're unwinding what we're building, I mean, they're literally unwinding in real time what we're building in real time. Does nobody else see that, or the industry just doesn't care about it?
So there's two. You referred to the industry, which of course has a vested interest in sort of more people losing more money on gambling. Sure. Fine, that's how capitalism works. That's how it should work. Part of the problem for me is the state government, which is technically, supposed to protect people's well-being, right? That's the job of government. But there's this weird loophole that I think we talked about last time when it came to lotteries, which is there's this one other branch of government whose job it is not to protect well-being, but to entice people to gamble and to raise money for the state from gambling. So, okay, the industry, fine. They're never going to come on board. That's their job. But it's another thing for me when it's a state regulator, someone who serves the people and who's decided to serve the people, not by stopping them from developing gambling harm, but by getting them to play more and bet in the middle of the night and lose more money than they can afford to lose.
You heard Jonathan say a moment ago that he's concerned about young men getting addicted to gambling at a really young age. Then you heard him say specifically men of color, young men of color. So when we come forward, we're going to go a little deeper inside the high-stakes, high-risk world of sports betting and talk about how it's gripping young men, particularly young men of color. Our guest is Jonathan D. Cohen. His new book is called Losing Big, America's Reckless Bet on Sports Gambling. I'm delighted to have him right now on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up.
Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease or AD. But did you know that Black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? You may be able to reduce your risk by managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure, being physically active, eating healthy, and exercising your mind. To learn more about AD, the importance of early diagnosis and intervention, and a potential treatment option, visit treatalzearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
BET and PBS, the Tom Joyner Morning Show, and NPR, the cover of Jet and the cover of Time. #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list, 20 honorary doctorate degrees, a dozen NAACP Image Awards, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. From talk shows to talk radio, nobody's ever done it better. You like that? This is Tavis Smiley. Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with Jonathan D. Cohen. His prior book is called For a Dollar and a Dream, State Lotteries in Modern America. His latest is called Losing Big, America's Reckless Bet on Sports Gambling, by his own words. That word reckless is the key word in that title. I'm delighted to have Jonathan back on this program for this book. So we all heard you moments ago talk about your concern for the young men who are getting addicted to all this sports gambling. But then you went a step further and you said young men of color in particular. So obviously my ears and the ears of all my listeners perked up when you said that. Tell me more, Jonathan D. Cohen.
Sure. I mean, the facts are sort of that we have are clear in survey and polling data, which is that Black, Latino, and Asian men in particular are more likely than white respondents or white gamblers to not just have a betting account, not just have a sports betting account, but to bet multiple times per week and to believe that they can make money from gambling. So they're the folks too who have lost a large percentage of money, who've claimed that they have been unable to pay their bills at the end of the month because of their gambling. Also a group disproportionately non-white compared to the rest of the gambling population.
Yeah, that's sad, but I'm not surprised to hear that. I was thinking a moment ago while you were talking about why it is that sports betting is so gripping young men of color as opposed to just going to a casino or something else. And I think the reason is, and I could be totally wrong about this, and if I'm wrong, you can disabuse me of this notion, but I think it is because of all the things that we gamble on, in some ways, underline the phrase some ways, in some ways, sports is more predictable. Here's what I mean by that. You go to Vegas, well, that's predictable too. You're going to lose. Ultimately, we all know that. But you go to Vegas.
Who built those casinos?
Exactly.
Where all that money comes from.
Exactly.
Somewhere.
Who built those? Exactly. So you roll the dice, and the dice rolls the way it rolls. And you play blackjack, you get the cards they deal you. So there is some sense of mystery here about how this thing is going to turn out. In sports, it's a bit more predictable in this way. You know who the great teams are. You expect those great teams are going to win. You can cover the spread or not cover the spread. But I wonder, having said all that, whether or not you think that sports betting is gripping young black men, young men of color, more than other types of gambling because they think they know the outcome.
Right. So this is where, just going back to our last conversation.
Did that question make sense at all, Jonathan?
Yes, it did. It did.
Okay.
No, and this is where, again, I would draw a really fine distinction between the lottery and sports betting, which is, you can't be a professional lottery player. Trust me, I wrote a book about it. If you could, I would have done it by now, but you can't because we know it's fundamentally, you can bet your grandma's birthday, but we know it's about luck.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Sports betting, there's this perception. Of course, there's all sorts of luck involved in sports, but there's this perception that it's, I know ball. I know my team, I know my athletes, whatever, better than anybody else. I'm going to prove to my friends, to the host of the sports talk radio station, to whoever, that I know a lot about sports and I can leverage that prediction, that knowledge into money. And when these sports gamblers lose, this is not just true for young black men, but this is true for young men in general. But I do think there is a sense, going back to what we were talking about earlier, of for folks who feel that they're denied economic opportunity, they sort of put more eggs in the gambling basket, and they invest more in gambling on this perception that it's fair or it's not as discriminatory as maybe other parts of the economy. And they have this amazing ability, gamblers do, to convince themselves that when they lose, it's because it was bad luck. But when they win, it's because they're smart. And it's because they leverage those smarts to make money.
I love that line. More with John Cohen in his new book, Losing Big, America's Reckless Bet on Sports Gambling, when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Febreze. So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PUSH to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PUSH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PUSH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
He's a paradigm pioneer and the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
Tavis Smiley and Jonathan D. Cohen, author of the new book, Losing Big, America's Reckless Bet on Sports Gambling. So, Jonathan, during that break, I was talking to Miles, my board op, young brother, young African-American brother. We were talking. I was saying, Miles, is there an age for sports gambling? And then I asked him, whatever that age is, have young folk in your generation found a way around that? He was telling me all the ways that young folk who are not that age get around it. Tell me more, John Cohen.
Well, and even it's age. I mean, there's so of course you're a nationally syndicated broadcast. Yep. I understand, but in California, for example, doesn't even have legal sports gambling yet technically. But there are all sorts of ways around that too. So I mean, you already know the internet's sort of the Wild West for all sorts of things, and the gambling is no exception. So. Yeah, the big companies, FanDuel, DraftKings, have age restrictions, but a lot of kids get signed up on their parents' account or their older siblings' account and use that. There's all sorts of these daily fantasy companies that are technically not gambling, but of course actually are gambling, and that those don't require any age verification. And then in states like California, that don't even have the laws requiring the age verification yet because they haven't legalized sports gambling. They're sports betting offered through what's technically prediction markets, but effectively is just sports gambling.
Yeah, fantasy football comes to mind pretty immediately. Again, no naivete here in asking this question, but do the sports leagues themselves feel no complicity with regard to the data suggesting that young men of color are getting addicted to sports gambling?
I mean, you know what the bottom line is always for these sports for these leagues, and it's the bottom line. Yeah. And they make so much money from the sponsorships, from the commercials, from these sports betting companies, from all sorts of sort of backroom data sharing agreements that are way too complicated to get into on the radio. But you know, when we talk off air, I'll get into it. But no, as far as I know, the leagues, like these companies, sort of pat themselves on the back and claim that they're promoting responsible gambling, but without ever actually doing anything that would make it easier for people to gamble responsibly.
So it's clear to me, I got 90 seconds to go here. It's clear to me and to you and everybody listening that America has gone all in on sports betting. The question is at what cost, and I've tried to get to some of that cost with Jonathan in this half hour. I guess my exit question is whether or not there is any retreat. Is there no retreat at this point, Jonathan?
So I think lawmakers could do something. I think regulators could do something, and I think we're not powerless. I think parents who have learned to talk to their kids about important, sensitive topics like drugs and alcohol, for example, should be talking to their kids. Should be talking to like 9-year-olds. I'm not joking about gambling and the internet, because there's all sorts of sports betting available. We didn't even get into sort of video game betting and all these other games that kids can stumble into that are effectively gambling. I just think it's something that parents need to know about, that their kids are finding their ways into, and that might help sort of denormalize it and help kids learn better and safer gambling practices from the start.
He was previously on this program a few years ago for his book, For a Dollar and a Dream, State Lotteries in Modern America, and I've been delighted to have had him back on this program for his new book called Losing Big, America's Reckless Bet on Sports Gambling. He is the one and only Jonathan D. Cohen. John, good to have you on, my friend. All the best to you. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, and good luck.
Thank you, sir. Good luck to you. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A black man from Michigan was arrested after allegedly calling in a fake bomb threat to Spirit Airlines for missing his flight.
We have a situation, so we unfortunately are going to have to deboard this aircraft, and everybody's going to have to be rescreened.
FBI agents say 23-year-old Rouge civil rights leader Sadie Roberts Joseph in 2019 will be sentenced August 7th. Bell was a former tenant of the deceased and faces a mandatory life sentence